Hello there, and welcome. Welcome to you, fellow spiritual travelers on the spiritual psychic path. It's Psychic Cynthia here, and today I want to share with you about a way that you can banish, bind, cleanse, and contain evil should the need arise. And I hope it doesn't. But sometimes, in extreme circumstances or happenings in life, you may feel the need to, pull out your greater spiritual techniques and powers to protect yourself. This is for situations where you feel that you are being directly attacked or a loved one has been directly attacked, because you can do this working for someone else. This is, really pulling out the big spiritual powers, okay? And, this is for when you don't feel safe, really. For maybe you've tried the white light and you've done your prayers and meditations, but there is someone or something in your life that you feel is walking on, the path of darkness. And listen, I don't use these words lightly, and I don't use words like evil or darkness very often. I'm a cosmic astrologer as well. I understand tapping up into the higher realms. I understand when you lift up into the higher dimensions, you can go beyond duality, and everything can be looked at from a higher cosmic view. Even so-called evil can somehow serve the path of good. But when we're here in this three-dimensional reality, as well as the other realities we're coexisting in, but we're here in this realm, physical realm, there can occasionally be encounters with, dark, destructive forces. And so this is for when something really bad has happened or you're afraid it will happen, okay? And I don't mean like just losing your job, but for when you feel attacked, okay? Or maybe like someone in your family or your inner circle of friends or loved ones is, acting really crazy, like there might be some darkness there, okay? So this is what this is for, and what I'm recommending here, of course there are many methods, but candle magic, okay? And candle magic is so simple. About anyone can do it. Anyone, who can safely operate candles. Anyone, of an age well enough to be left alone with candles and of a mind. And I've been doing some candle magic lately. So we're going to talk about how to do a binding and a cleansing and protection with candle magic. And you'll notice that I have a black candle here. Can you see that? I know it's very bright out here. By the way, I'm filming outside because I love to film outside. If you're new to my channel, I love the nature energy. This is part of my psychic connection and part of how the spirits speak to me. Not all psychics love it. Some of us do, some of us don't. I have a lovely home. I could film in there. And I might if it's 0 degrees outside. But anyway, you'll see me outside. And also because there's a lot of power in nature. It's one way we can reset our energy is just by fresh air and sunlight. It's very healing. It's very balancing. So I digress, but only a little. I mean, especially if you feel like you're under attack or there's dark or negative energy or entities. Yeah, you should get outside. You should open your windows and let the fresh air in. For real. Okay, that's another pro tip about cleansing and clearing energy. But this is beyond just clearing. So this is again for you when you want to pull out the big gun, so to speak, the big spiritual tools. Okay, and this is purely a working of the light for good, for healing, for protection. And so we're gonna start with the black candle. And I know black gets a bad rap, and in Hollywood it's like black is all evil. Well, it could be. I could see in some cases they think that, but no, the color black is used very specifically by those of us who walk on the light healing path. It is used to bind and banish evil. What I mean by bind and banish is cleansing But it's not just like, oh, love and light, relax cleansing, we're going to go to the spa. No, it's really a forceful cleansing. It's banishing, totally eliminating, getting rid of. Binding, well, if something is bound, it is, it is as if it is restrained, it is restricted. And you need both if you're dealing with a serious, hardcore situation. Like if there's been, you know, like an attack on your home or your house, or weird things are starting to happen, or if there's been domestic violence, there's been threats, even if there's just been somebody who is verbally threatening you, not even to do physical things, but if they are attacking your person and they keep doing that, and you can feel they have it out for you, this would be good for that. There's a lot of circumstances under which one might wish to do a banishing and a binding, which is a form of very powerful cleansing and clearing. So yeah, you wouldn't just do this for a minor annoyance, okay? Because it's powerful, and it will have consequences, and it will bind and banish the energy, okay? So it's like if you had a headache, you might just lay down and relax, or I don't know, you might take a pain reliever. You wouldn't go get surgery, right? So, for some things you just need a little meditation, a little prayer, a little time and space, right? But then, like, if you had a broken leg, you would get some kind of surgery or a bone reset, right? This is more like that. It's more like doing, the spiritual major reset. Okay, so back to the black candle. The black candle is used by those of us who walk in the light to bind and banish evil. Now, generally, I don't at least use it alone, okay? But this is an important tool, and it's one that it's hard to substitute for, okay? I mean, you could get creative and substitute with a darker colored candle if you didn't have black, but black is sort of important here because it contains all colors. And again, it has that, what it does is it absorbs. It absorbs and immobilizes the negativity. So yeah, you want your black candle. It doesn't have to be this big, but this is a good solid one. By the way, this is burnt down maybe about halfway. I just did this ritual a couple days ago. This is why I'm making a video about it. And then you want a white candle of some kind. It doesn't have to be the same height necessarily. I don't practice it that way. Here's my white candle that I'd been burning. Okay. If that's all you have is a black and white candle, and they can be smaller than the ones I'm showing you here, by all means. I just pulled out the big dogs, okay? I felt that the situation, by the way, this working was not just for me, it was for somebody else. It was a remote working. But I'll tell you more about how you can do that, maybe. I'm thinking you're probably watching this video for yourself, so we'll kind of stick with that mostly for today. Generally, when we do candle magic, or any forms of, manifestation work, magic is a form of manifestation work, indeed. Or maybe it's more accurate to say that manifestation work is magic, in my opinion. In any case, when we're doing these workings, these operations, these magical operations, numbers have quantity. In terms of quantity, have an effect. They add energy one way or the other. So generally for a banishing or a binding, or a lot of magic actually, we want to use an odd number of candles, or an odd number of chants, or an odd number of crystals. Odd numbers are 1, 3, 5, 7, and so on. And why is that? Because the odd numbers change. They affect change. They kind of unbalance things, but this is a good thing here because you're wanting to change things. You're wanting to think things, the current events are in a certain state of energy. They're stuck there, and you want to unstuck them, right? You want to get them moving. You want to get them out of atrophy. You want to create a more dynamic energy. So we do that, in other words, with the odd numbers. So generally you would want to use the candles, You could just use one by themselves, but for this type of working, I'd recommend 3, 5, or 7. You could go higher, but that's a lot of candles to work with. 3 is fine. That's what I did. Okay. Now, the exception to that is when you're working with black and white, because both of these contain all the colors, and black and white are representative too of the yin and the yang, of the major two forces of the physical universe. So in that coloration, the 2 candles can suffice. Okay, if that's all you have, it can work. However, what I'd suggest adding is an additional 3rd candle in a different color, and there's more variation here. I actually used a multi-color candle, and you can see here what's left is well, it doesn't look very light green in this light, but it's kind of a very light green, and then going down into the beige and going down into the oranges and the browns. On top of this was a whole nother layer about this thick of blue, a beautiful blue, not unlike the sky behind me, a baby blue or a turquoise blue. And I chose these, you see the grounding colors are on the bottom, but I started with the calming blue and going down into a very light calming yellow green. You can choose any color for the 3rd candle that you want. You could do an extra white one, but I would keep it in a more calming or sparkling energy. I do have some brown in mine, of course, but it's a very energizing, happy, cheery brown. I'd probably stay away from the reds and the oranges, but it like the really bright, even a really bright anything, actually, I'd keep it in the calming and the pastels. But this part is more personal. What you want is another color to add another energy that is desired. And if you're not sure, you could check in with your intuition and check in with your supplies to what you have. But again, remember, if you don't have 3 candles of the different colors, or let me put it this way, if you don't have an additional candle besides your black and white, you can use what you have. You can use black and white. I recommend that you always burn the white with the black. Okay? Because the white adds the purity. Whereas the black absorbs, the white is like your psychic air filter, your energetic air filter. So it's going to clean it out. The black literally attracts it, sucks it in, binds it up, and clears it out. And that's pretty much it in terms of the mechanics. You're going to light these candles. There definitely are some nuances, but you're going to let them burn attended. Don't leave candles burning unattended. You always attend your candles. You don't have to sit right on top of them. Well, don't sit right on top. You don't have to be right next to them 100% of the time, but be in the room, be close to them, have someone else, take shifts. If you live in a house with more than one person, always burn them, safely. I know some of you are thinking, oh no, Cynthia, of course I know this, but some people may not know this watching, and I want everybody to be safe. And isn't the whole point of doing this ritual is so you'll feel safer? So yeah, let's do it in a safe, way, because fire is powerful, right? And that is, how this works, fire and color and energy. And also it's going to be tapping into your energy, in terms of, or you're going to be, let me put it this way, it will be unleashing your spiritual power to stand up to the evil, to whatever it is that is attacking you or threatening you. It will give you greater strength at least. Actually, you already have the strength within you. This is just going to help release it. Now, as you're lighting your candles, I do suggest you get in a prayerful, meditative mindset, whatever that means for you, and you call upon your divine connection, your connection with Source, with Spirit, with the gods, with God. And I really especially recommend, even if you don't have a strong conscious connection with Source. I know maybe some of you watching don't, perhaps. That's okay. Call upon your ancestors. Ask them to help you with this working and be specific about what it is you are trying to bind, what or who. And listen, we're not trying to harm anybody. Remember, this is a working of the light. All you're trying to do is bind the negative energies or behaviors. And that's how it will work if you set that intention. And ask the ancestors for help, okay? Ask your spirit guides, ask your higher guides, the ascended masters, the light beings. If you work with the fae, like I do, with the elves, with the nature spirits, if they know you and you know them, you can ask them for help here with this binding, this protection, this cleansing. And then this part is optional, but really it's part of the secret sauce, okay? It's part of what it activates pathways in your higher self and your subconscious mind as well. It can help unleash more of your power and your own self-protection if you will have some kind of affirmation, or I'd actually recommend a rhymed chant that you say as you're lighting these candles, and you repeat it. And then you can also repeat that chant or affirmation, mantra. It needs to be created for this working, though, I believe. In my experience, this is grounded, embodied, having practiced this many times. Hopefully not too many. You don't want to have to do this, but yeah, I've had to do it. So it is more effective, I find, when I create a chant or use one that I have already created. Of course, mantras from the sacred traditions, or even the name of a rune that you feel aligns with protection in a situation or cleansing. These could all be very powerful too. A mantra or a chant that I used recently for this, and I wrote it down just to make sure I got it right. The thing is, I like to change it up, okay? So I might do it a little differently every time I do it, and Spirit will guide me, the spirits will guide me, they will tell me what words to say, and same for you. Spirit will guide you, Spirit as in the divine spirit, the gods, the ancestors, the angels, they will guide you, the light beings, they will show you. But if you're feeling stuck, and you might be, because after all, why are you doing this? You're doing this because, you feel like there's a darkness you need to protect yourself from. So you might have a hard time coming up with something. So here's something you can use, okay? It is simple. Evil, be gone and bound. Go away from the sacred ground. Evil, be gone and bound. Go away from the sacred ground. And what is the sacred ground I'm speaking of here? Well, I'm actually speaking of somebody's home, their house, is when I'm doing this working for them. I'm also speaking of my home and my house, because, if I'm aware of this darkness, even if it's not, directly impacting me, it is impacting me. If it's in my awareness, if I'm helping somebody with it. So yeah, I'm doing it for the physical spaces, but the sacred ground are also the people involved. It could even be the person who is acting in a strange, threatening, vengeful or violent way, because they might be acting under the influence of dark spiritual energy. So, this just covers it all, okay? I'll repeat that again in case, you want to write that down. Evil, be gone and bound. Go away from this sacred ground. Or you could say, get away. Get away. You actually could just shorten this if you wanted and just say, be bound, be gone, get away. I like to specify something like evil. Now, you could put a person's name in there, but I wouldn't do that. I know some people have done that. This is to bind evil. It is to bind darkness. It is, yes, it's against those things. It's not against a person. Those of us who walk in the light, we are for people, we are for love. But sometimes we do need to fiercely protect. We do need to stand our ground. We might be welcome mats, but we are not doormats. Remember that. You don't need to be a doormat to let some negativity, some darkness walk over you. That is not acceptable. That's not what it means to walk in the light. And yes, sometimes we need to be spiritual warriors and we need to undertake the workings. So I've shared this with you today. And how long do you let the candles burn? Well, you have to monitor them. You have to be there supervising. So practically, I mean, if you only have a couple of hours that you can be there, then do that, you know? If you have your candles there and you're thinking about that, and by the way, you don't have to keep thinking about it all the time. Don't do that. Step away. Step away and let it do its work, okay? I mean, don't leave the candles too far, but just say your chant. Occasionally check in if it helps you. Say the chant again, but trust that they're doing their working. Let them burn for a few hours. I let my candles burn the other night because I had somebody else here in the house who could monitor them. So it was over 12 hours. And I would have let them burn longer, but I really didn't feel comfortable because here's the thing too. You're going to know when you need to put them out because you'll start feeling them working and you might start getting tired too. I can't quite explain how this is because I don't really understand it fully myself, but it's an observation at this time. Maybe later the spirits will explain to me, but when we do these workings and the candles are working and the spirits are working on our behalf, somehow too, I guess we're also being reworked so we can get tired, okay? We're also being amplified and healed, but you know, you don't want it to go on forever is what I'm saying. So do eventually put the candles out, and you can relight them again the next day if you feel you need to. I lit them, burnt them 12 hours and haven't since then, but I am considering doing, you know, a relight here perhaps this evening. And then wait and see what happens. Okay, because something will happen. Now, remember I said before, this is when you need to bring out the big dogs. This is when the situation is serious and you've tried other things. And it will create change. Now, sometimes with change, things get worse before it gets better. And that's just the way it is sometimes. So just be aware of that and, you know, keep doing your prayers and your meditation and also keep taking the pragmatic, physical, practical steps you can to strengthen yourself, to protect yourself, to have your freedom and independence. That's really important, especially if you feel that someone or some situation is threatening your livelihood, your well-being, your physicality. You know, do what you can to remove yourself from that and also to go on a different path. That's magic too, I feel like. That's, you know, real world, you know, well, if you can call the 3D real world, you know, that's physical world magic. Okay. Well, I hope you found this helpful. I know it was long, but yeah, maybe somebody out there needed this. So if so, my heart is with you, and the heart of the universe is with you, strengthening you, and the ancestors as well. Good luck on your journey, and stay strong, and keep believing in yourself, and know that you don't have to say yes to being attacked by darkness or evil. You're worth more than that. Until next time, bright blessings.